Hello and welcome to Awful Commentary. Today we are doing another request video. Arthur Rees asked us, just what are Deadpool's powers? What can he do? Well, Arthur, strap in, because we're going to tell you.
Hey, yeah, I wanna shoot,
Kind of lonesome back here.
Wade Wilson's mutant powers are... Oh, he doesn't have any. This is the thing about Deadpool, none of the powers he actually has are his. They're pretty much all stolen. His healing factor, well, that's just stolen from Wolverine. For those of you who know your Wolverine lore, you'll know that Wolverine spent some time in the Weapon X facility up in Canada, which is where they stuck that adamantium to his skeleton. That didn't go so well for Weapon X because Wolverine kind of went savage and killed everyone. But what it did do is give Weapon X the whole thing they wanted from Wolverine in the first place, his DNA, and thus his healing factor. The healing factor was then bunged into Special Forces cancer patient Wade Wilson and yada 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 yada. The cancer went everywhere. But Dom, I've seen X-Men Origins Wolverine. Can't he teleport? No. Why have you seen that movie? Erase it from your mind. In the comics, actually, Deadpool does a fair amount of teleporting, but this isn't some kind of Nightcrawler-esque power. Instead, it's from a teleportation device that he wears. He also doesn't shoot laser eyes or have swords in his arms. So the question then becomes, how strong is Deadpool's healing factor? This question is a little bit more complicated to answer than you would expect, but for reference, really we can look at Wolverine. Depending upon which universe and which timeline you're looking at, Wolverine's healing factor really varies in its strength. But he did survive having adamantium bonded to his bones, and then having Magneto rip it out of them, and then having it bonded again, so gotta be pretty strong.
Right up Main Street.
If you're reading the Ultimate Universe, then Wolverine's healing factor can force him to survive a nuclear bomb, and then also he can just be kept alive from his head. But within the main Marvel Universe, it's generally accepted that Wolverine's healing factor is finite. If you were to decapitate him, for example, that would stand a pretty good chance of killing him if his bones weren't made of unbreakable metal. Drowning him, throwing him in a volcano, things like that would all succeed in killing Wolverine, at least temporarily. There is also another fictional metal called Carbonadium which can slow down the mutant healing factor, which means the villains like Omega Red, who has tentacles laced in Carbonadium, can do some pretty serious damage to those with healing factors, even if they can't actually finish them off. And then there are the Muramasa Blades. The blades are a kind of katana that seem to be forged from the rage of Wolverine's blood, and this seems to give them the power to kill somebody whether they have a healing factor or not. Because of this, Wolverine's son Daken, who also has claws, had one of his claws coated in melted down Muramasa blade so that he could kill his father, except Wolverine then cut them out. There is also an alternate version of Deadpool called Deadpool, who is the Deadpool from the series Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and Deadpool carries two Muramasa blades as he travels between universes like Jet Li in The One, killing other Deadpools. But once you forget all of the nerd lingo, you're thinking, this seems easy enough. Well, you'd be wrong. Because in Marvel Comics, even though Deadpool is already kind of immortal because of his healing factor, he is actually immortal, and not in a good way. This all comes down to Thanos. Yes, Thanos, the big bad guy from the MCU. Thanos, wielder of the Infinity Gauntlet. Thanos, destroyer of universes. Everything Thanos does, he does because he's in love with Death, the physical embodiment of Death called Mistress Death. Now the problem for Thanos is that although she keeps teasing him and saying, go on, just kill half the universe again, Mistress Death doesn't actually like Thanos that much, because she has a crush on Deadpool. The story goes that when Wade Wilson was dying of cancer and was about to die, Mistress Death stood before him, and in that moment, they fell in love. But just as they fell in love, he became immortal. But as we've just discussed, there are ways for even immortal people and people with healing factors to be killed. So Thanos, knowing this, decides to do something a little bit radical. Thanos cannot have somebody dying and being with Mistress Death before he is, so he places a curse on Deadpool. Thanos works with a guy called T-Ray, who is kind of a mystical mercenary who claims that he is the original Wade Wilson that Deadpool replaced. T-Ray, like many people, utterly despises Thanos and thus works with him to make this curse to stop Deadpool from ever dying. So, if you were to shoot Deadpool repetitively, he would come back. If you were to disperse him at a molecular level, he would reassemble. If you were to launch Deadpool into the sun or a black hole, the universe would find a way, or the writers would find a way, to get Deadpool out of it so he could continue living. So to answer the question regarding the healing factor, he's of such strength that he was once left with nothing but a hand, and his whole body regrew from it. He's had his head smashed in by the Hulk, he's come back. He cannot be killed. At least he couldn't be. Recent years have seen the curse lifted and Deadpool losing his healing factor, so now anything could happen. Although I think the curse was put back on again and then possibly lifted again? Oh, I don't know. But leaving the cosmic side of things behind, the other really impressive thing about Deadpool is his swordsmanship and his gun skills. One of the greatest combatants in the Marvel Universe is called Taskmaster. Google him, he's got a skull for a head. He's just another one of those Captain America villains. What makes Taskmaster so dangerous is that once he's watched somebody do something, he can then replicate it exactly. Now this doesn't include superpowers, so he couldn't watch the Hulk transform and then transform himself, but what he can do is watch Captain America and then combat Captain America exactly the way he just fought. This means that Taskmaster has hundreds and hundreds of the greatest heroes and villains in the world stored up in his brain. But there's one person that Taskmaster just can't replicate. And of course it's Deadpool. When Captain America fights, he does so with a strategy in mind and using techniques and skills that he's learned over the past however long he's supposed to have been alive. When Deadpool fights, he also has skills and techniques, but he's completely insane. The cancer in Deadpool's brain has got to the point where he perceives the universe in a different way to everyone else. This is what allows him to break the fourth wall. This is why in his panels he has 3 boxes instead of just the one. It also means that his combat techniques are wild and crazy. There is no specific attack that he's going to come at you with. He's going to come at you with everything and anything, which makes him completely random and thus really hard to defend against.
Oh! Canada! That's not good.
Wade, please.
Cockshot!
Oh, your poor wife.
You really should stop.
Oh, the dinosaurs feared the T-Rex. I promise this gets worse for you, big boy!
This is embarrassing.
Deadpool also carries around a Grand Theft Auto style bag. It's a magical pouch that contains everything he can possibly need. It has a jetpack, it has the bazooka, pretty much anything the writer wants Deadpool to have is in the pouch. And I suppose this is really the ultimate answer to the Deadpool question. What can Deadpool do? Well, anything. Deadpool is not a character like Batman or even Wolverine who is constrained by some kind of logic, or as much logic as the imagination can process. In the last issue of Deadpool, they could just turn around and say it was all in his mind, and that would be plausible because everything that happens to Deadpool is insane. This is one character where nothing is ruled out, except for giving him laser eyes and the mutant power to teleport and sewing up his mouth. Those things you are not allowed to do. But there we are, a quick rundown on Deadpool and his abilities. Do you guys know something that I maybe missed out? Maybe you have a little bit more information about Deadpool than I do. If you have any thoughts, please put them in the comments below. Thank you for listening to Awful Commentary, and we hope to see you again soon.